Second to last episode, and here I am, still cleaning up my build. But I added a bridge so that it's not just a cobblestone one wide path across to my island here. But this is symbolic because we need to continue on with Astral Sorcery today. Hello everybody, I'm Martin, welcome to another episode of Glacial Awakening, and it's time to finish up Astral Sorcery. And by finish up, I mean get maybe to the middle point of Astral Sorcery, if that, and then call it quits because that's all that's required by the end game. Yeah, I think so. So what we need to do today is build up to Attunement in Astral Sorcery, because that's the second to last piece we need to finish out the end game to make the Celestial Crystal. And if we come in here, you'll see we click on this, there's no recipe. And that's because we need to build the Attunement altar and toss a rock crystal on it, as well as identify some constellations to even attune it to in the first place. But to do that, we need, well, a lot more space. Because if we come into the Astral Sorcery book, we need to come up here into the Attunement chapter. And zooming into it, you'll see that there's a section right here called Attunement, and this is the one we need. Because there's explanations of how this all works, but most importantly, there's a big, huge structure we need to make that's 19 by 19, which is even bigger than the island I've got this altar on. So I think I'm going to have to go spend some time building a new structure, and I'm probably going to go hang it off, I don't know, down there maybe somewhere. I don't know. Let's go work on that, shall we, though? Alright, so I got another big, huge floating rock here in the sky. I'm mostly happy with how this one turned out, although it feels a bit too symmetrical since it's just a big, huge square platform. I didn't quite round it out like the other one did because I was kind of running out of space and didn't plan this one as well through. But overall, I'm fairly happy with how it turned out. Now, however, to move forward, we actually are going to need a couple of things. We're going to need a telescope, because we need to go find the constellation in the sky, which will also require it be night, which it currently is not. And the telescope is mostly easy, although we also need a looking glass, which is simple at this point. So here's to hoping that we are actually having enough power to create these right now, otherwise we have to wait a couple minutes. Alright, got this one covered, but probably not that one. Although thankfully it feels like the day-night cycle is sped up for this mod pack, so this didn't take too long. But now we can put the telescope down and go looking for constellations up in the sky. So I had to move it because it didn't seem like it was the pages were working where I had it, but I moved it over by where I was going to put the Attunement altar. But you can see that these show a whole bunch of star formations, and there's arrows in each side. And the ones we're looking for are the ones that have stars that look like this on them, because this is one of the constellations, although I don't know if it's one of those we need yet. And I think this is actually a Vetus. So what we need to do is draw it out on this map. Just like that. And if you've drawn it successfully, it will light up like this. And once we close this, you can find it up in the sky now forever. But this is all we really needed to do to advance, because now we have identified one of the constellations and it's in the sky. So the next thing we need to do is build the Attunement altar to put on that platform where I've got that piece of marble in the center there. And the Attunement altar is all just stuff we've had lying around forever, as well as a spectral relay. And we need to make a couple of these because we're going to need a bunch to lay out the constellation on the actual altar itself. So the spectral relays first, and there's a whole stack of them. And next, the Attunement altar, which is going to take a little bit longer because it requires a bit more power. But that too is easy. So now we just need to go take it over to our platform over here, pop out this block right here, and hopefully remember where our alignment was, and this now all works correctly. From here, now we can use this constellation up here, the Vetus one, along with the correct constellation paper in our offhand, and you'll see that there are now these blue spots lit up where we can put spectral relays on the ground, and hopefully I've got enough. And of course I do not. Alright, and assuming I've got all of these in the right spots, these should all light up and map out the constellation here, which it is. From here, we now take a rock crystal and just chuck it into the center. Thankfully, it doesn't matter what we're attuning it to at all here, because this is just to fulfill the in-game requirements. But it's a real pretty sight. The other thing you can do is attune to the constellation yourself, which will give you access to the perk trees. Which constellation you attune to actually does matter, because that determines what you get experience from, so to level up faster, and also where you start in the perk tree. You know, if it hadn't started to become sunrise and the whole thing hadn't started fading on me. Now, I should note the whole reason we did this is because we needed an attuned rock crystal to make a collector crystal so that we didn't have to go back to the Astral Temple to do our next step, and the whole thing is just a bit easier. So we've got this loaded up, and we can just start it up. You would think I would know better than to try to film during a snowstorm at night, but here we are. So now what we need to do is dig a hole. Yep, just like that, and another one. We're going to lay down a star metal ore at the bottom, dump in some liquid starlight, build a quick tower, put the collector crystal up there, tear the tower down, take our linking tool, and aim the collector crystal down at the star metal ore. Now that we've got this linked up, we just toss a rock crystal in with some stardust, and unfortunately wait, because we need this to form a crystal cluster now. But you can see that it's working because you see the blue particle effects going off of this. Alright, that only took about a minute to form, and now we have a crystal cluster here, and we need to wait for this to grow to get bigger, and then we can harvest the crystal we need. If you press F3, you can bring up the overlay, and on the right side at the very bottom, you can see Astral Sorcery Block Celestial Crystal Stage 0. Well, we needed to get up to Stage 4, I think. And depending on how much starlight we can pump into this, that might take a bit, but that is what this collector crystal is for, at least. And there I actually relinked it because the beam of light wasn't going down into it, so now we just have to be patient and wait. To be clear, this can take a couple of days in game, so this is going to be a bit of waiting game. It's a good thing I needed some uranium still, though. Alright, and we're now at stage 4 right at the beginning of the second night of this cycle, so it actually went pretty quick. But this is also part of why I made the collector crystals, because they're more powerful than just raw starlight. So yeah, let's break this out and finish this off, I guess. And now we have the celestial crystal we need to finish this out. So there we go. Only made it to the mid-game at best for Astral Sorcery, but that's the end-game goal. It actually kind of depresses me that this is barely even the mid-game for Astral Sorcery, and yet that's all we had to do to finish this out, because this isn't even the top-tier altar, folks. But since Evitas doesn't seem to want to pop up in the sky, so we might as well finish our Attunement using Evorcio instead. Alright, here we go again. Hopefully this time we'll actually finish. Anyhow, there we go, attuned to Evorcio, and if we go back into the Astral Sorcery Manual, you'll see that there is now a perks tab here, which opens up a big, huge skill tree that we can unlock stuff in. Depending on which one you were attuned to, determines where you started and what directions you can go in. In this case, because we chose Evorcio, we gain experience by breaking blocks, and we start with increased mining speed. And we can use our initial point to increase our mining speed even further. I personally prefer using Discadia usually because that is a combat focused one. You gain experience by killing stuff, and it starts you off in the side of the perk tree that gives you bonuses towards actually attacking things. But as you can see, that's the very start of the perk tree, and as I was saying, we're barely getting into Astral Sorcery here at all because we have so much more we could have done with this mod. This isn't even... We don't even have the last section of the book open right now, and yet our next episode is our last episode. So if you'd like to know more about Astral Sorcery, maybe go look at my Enigmatica 2 Expert series. The Astral Sorcery episodes are pretty clearly marked, and they go through most of it all the way up into the end game of it. Anyhow, only one episode left. If you found this episode interesting and entertaining, please consider like or subscribe if you're new. As always, I'm Ard. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.